Next up, we got Grant Carmichael and Joe Elmendorf. Both of them are information architects at the Understanding Group. They're going to be talking about archetypes today. And as soon as I get my phone open, I'll read their bios to you. Actually, Rahul, you're still here? Let's get one more going here real quick, since this is the last session. All right, I think we hit this one before. 21. What is it? Grant? Greg. Greg? Last name begins with a D? Yep, there you go. You got the book. He wanted the book, so yay. All right, awesome. Just a quick little plug. Joe made this sticker. Feel free to take the stickers. They're there for you. If you don't want them, leave them. We'll give them away elsewhere. But what before the how? Are you guys going to talk about what before the how at all? A little bit. Okay, so I'll let them talk a little bit about what before the how. And then another plug, real quick, for the Modeling for Clarity workshop. This is not just for UX designers, those information architects, those kind of people. Anybody from a high school student to chief executive officer. I've taken the class. I think everybody in TUG has taken the class. But it shows you how to think about making models that will actually communicate the intent that you have for it. I think the one that's going on right now, we got 20 people registered. We do it every quarter. Take a look at the QR code there on the back, and you can learn a little bit more about that. Joe was the one who actually designed that course, and he designed it to help people create understanding. Right? You make a model, you're trying to communicate something, and if you can't get your point across, then what's the point? And so this class actually helps you really get your point across. With that, we got the book, and I think, just intro these guys now real quick. I think, Grant, you're up first. Grant, I know, has been with TUG for about 8 years. And here we go. All right, Grant is an information architect and multidisciplinary designer with the Understanding Group. He is on the core team of Site Lab, a nomadic art initiative creating temporary public projects and site-specific art installations in underutilized and unique spaces. So check out Site Lab when you get a chance, if you want to see a little bit more about what Grant does on the side. And then Joe Elmendorf has been working with the information space since 2009 in teaching professionals and university students since 2016. He leads the consulting practice at the Understanding Group, where he strives to grow the next generation of IA practitioners and evolve novel ad hoc processes and methods into teachable, scalable practices. With that, I give you Joe and Grant.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me okay? All right, I'm Grant.
And I'm the Joe part. All right. So what we're essentially going to be talking about today has everything to do with people, because that's the best place to start. When we're talking about people, like when we talk about anything, to figure out what about people, we could talk about so many different aspects of people. We could talk about their attitudes, their preferences, life context, situation, needs, intentions, behaviors, propensities, aptitudes, emotions, and more. But what do we need to talk about based on what we want to do? The next one. Well, we're here today to talk about how to create places that people can orient to, that people can find their way through. And in our practice, we found that of all of the various things that you can focus on, intentions of people and their behaviors when they come to a place is incredibly important, because you can go back to that last one if you want. When you want to architect a good place, you have to understand the forces at play in that environment. And people who come to the digital place that you are making is one of the most important forces, because as creators of digital places, we don't get to change the people who come to us. We have to understand them and then make the place, this building, is made for the people who come here. It doesn't change the people so that it can be the way it wants to be. And so by focusing on a method called Archetypes, we can look more closely at the intentions and the behaviors of people so that we can use that as an input to how we structure the places that we create.
So Joe mentioned archetypes. And what are archetypes? Archetypes are a model that we use to understand people's intentions, as you noted, and archetypes are defined by jobs, what people hire a digital place to accomplish, their intentions when they come to a digital place. This is a loose shorthand of Clayton Christensen's Jobs to be Done framework. That you may have heard jobs that way, but we use jobs as just one element of it. So a job is when a person, you'll see that on this diagram here, all these people are coming to a digital place. And they're coming to a digital place for their needs. They have a job to be done. And what we try to do is understand what those jobs are done or that they need so that we can make a place that's tuned for them so that they can successfully get what they need done. What is a job? I'm hiring a digital place to read a review. But that's not quite the job. The job is, well, why do you want to read a review? Well, maybe why you want to read a review is because you want to understand what others think about something. You want to have confidence that maybe you're making a good decision or that you understand that what you are looking for is the right thing. So if you can go and find out what all these jobs are, that's how you can get to a digital or get to an archetype. So what makes a well-formed job is this verb. It's the conceptual framing, understand, for instance, and then the focused statement, which is what others think about a project or product. So that's the kind of thing you want to get to when you get to a job. Download isn't the job. Why they're downloading is the job. So jobs can be clustered into a finite set of postures that we call archetypes. This is a better view for me. Archetypes represent the intentions and behaviors, like we noted. And a successful digital place is one that anticipates the intentions of the target audience. So all those jobs that people are drawn to a digital place that you saw in that previous diagram, we can group those up into archetypes. It's a way to try to understand all the things that people are wanting to do with the digital place by breaking it down to a simpler model so we can use it as a check to make sure that we've created and structured a successful place. So archetypes inform how the digital place should be structured, as I noted. It's a way to inform not only how a place is structured, where you put the pages in a site or the pages in an application, but it's also about where on the page you put certain kinds of information and how you structure the content on the page so that it is ready for the people to arrive when they have that need to get what they need done. It's all there structured and ready for them. That adds resiliency to the structure. So we're going to go through a process that we do a lot at the Understanding Group to try to get to a series of archetypes so that we can make structures that are more resilient, know where to put content to capture people as they approach a digital place. And we're going to start right with where we start, which is choosing nodes. One thing I should note here is that when you create archetypes, there's really three sort of main chunks. We've got defining the jobs, and then there's defining the archetypes, and then there's applying them and testing them. So starting with the first one, choosing nodes. When we approach a project, commonly there's already a place that's been built, and we need to assess how well is it, is it successful, is it appropriate, and the first thing we need to do is figure out how to get all the nodes of a digital place, whether it's an app or a website, and make sure that we might do like an audit. And an audit is a time when we get the, sorry, I'm just, yeah, I think I'm right-handed. I kind of need to be over here.
Come on
So
over.
there we go.
It's nice over here. Yeah, no.
So you have a big website. How do we know what jobs are? And the hard part there is that there's so many pages, right? So sometimes you do a course like that, just a portion of it. And the portion determines why it's very practical for the goal. Sometimes it's smaller. You don't need to check every single node. It's a smaller footprint.
Yeah, so why might you opt for a core sample? Why would you not do all the things? Well, sometimes it's just too many. Millions of pages, right? Nodes, it could be pages, it could be page states, it could be screens in a flow that kind of moves along almost on its own, right? So sometimes there's just too much to make sense of, and so we can't do it all. Or sometimes no one actually knows all of the nodes. And so to say that we're going to do all of them is a lie. And so we're just going to do a core sample of the important ones. Or, it's expensive to go through 1,000 pages and process each of them. So time and budget doesn't allow for that. And so we're faced with making a core sample. But when you don't do all of it, there's a risk that you're going to miss something really important. So how do you know that you have a good core sample? Well, you work with the owners of that content, of that digital place, to figure out what are the high priority, high value nodes. Where are they looking most often? Where are their precious parts of their ecosystem? Let's make sure we include those in the stuff that we consider in this node audit. Also, looking for unique types or templates. Again, we're talking about the things, we're going to be looking for the things that people can do here. And so you might have 100 product detail pages, but really you can do the same 5 or 6 things on every one of those 100 pages. And so it's not that helpful to look at all 100. Maybe we can look at a smattering of them, see if there's any variation. But look for the unique types of pages and situations that people are in and include those, because that's where you get the most bang for your buck, so to speak. Alternatively, if you want to do most of them, but there's just some things that are less valuable, the end user license agreement, no one is coming to your website to read that. You do that because you have to. We don't need to look at that. Terms and conditions, similar. What are some of the low priority things that don't need to be included? We can just disinclude those for the sake of this audit to minimize the set of things that we're considering.
So once we have the nodes chosen, we define the jobs. So we have this audit where we go through and take screenshots of the core sample or the individual screens and start to look at them by the jobs that are apparent. And this is really an audit of the current state. There isn't really a good foundation for design a new state. We're not going to use this, but it's a good way to start to catalog what it is that the current state provides.
Any folks ever use Airtable? Unwillingly? Oh no. Okay, we'll have to talk later. I'm interested to know why there's the unwillingness. But we love this tool, and so we talked about assembling this long list of the nodes that you're going to include. You could put them in a Google Sheet. We put them in an Airtable where we can collect screenshots real easy and have this list of all the things that we want to audit, and then we go through. It's a real slog, top to bottom, looking through each of these nodes and saying, okay, what are the jobs that somebody can accomplish here? And one of the reasons we really love Airtable for this is because you can start to create a controlled vocabulary as you go, because you're going to have to do this maybe 200 to 1,000 times, and it would be nice if you used some of the same words. Yeah, so you go through, start looking and document them along for each node. What are the jobs that someone can do here? And likely you split it up. You'll do some, Dan Cooney will do some, Grant will do some, and we'll work together to eat this elephant. So many.
So step 3 is refining jobs. So we create this bank of jobs. And sometimes there are a lot, especially when you have a very large site. So we want to go through a process of removing duplicates, making sure that they're consistently well formed. Like Joe mentioned, he and I and often one other time need to work together to sort of break up the work and build a bank of these jobs in Airtable. And we have to, this is the work that we do together. And our point is to get a good set of well-formed jobs that we can start to explore.
Yeah, so when we go to refine these jobs, there's a couple reasons why you might want to take what were two things and combine them into one. One is you'll end up with duplicates. I might say filter invoices by date, and my colleague might say filter invoices by time. And we're probably talking about pretty much the same thing. The autocomplete didn't catch up with one of us, and so now we have these two things, and we're gonna bring them together so that we don't have 1,000 jobs for our 1,000 nodes, because that's not very helpful. So in this instance, another thing is filter invoices by date, filter invoices by retailer, merging those into something that is less granular. Filter invoices probably will do. And again, this is a hard, there's an art and science to this. You gotta kind of feel your way out through this and say, what is too granular? What is not granular enough? We found that if you, in the end, have more than 200 jobs, you're going to be less than happy. Because you have, again, this is about getting your arms around this set of things and understanding what's going on. And there's an upper limit to how many individual things you can keep track of and affinitize. And so that can help be a rubric for, do I need to start trying to combine some of these? Because I got to make sense of them. And if I have 250, maybe I can start increasing the grain size of some of these to get it down into a more manageable set.
So we have jobs that are from the current state. In the state that maybe needs to become better tuned and be more useful to people. So the next step is to interview with users. Start to just have conversations with them. Say, what are things you do when you go to Ruby, say? You build a Ruby website. What are the things that come to mind when you go through this experience? And we'll listen and we'll start to put on the lens of what jobs are they talking about. You know, like, you'll find a job like, I want to go to a movie theater dinner with a friend. So what's that process look like? The website only lets you buy tickets in multiple locations. So we listen for those jobs that sort of come up, and what we find more often than not are additional jobs that are not currently being serviced in the current digital platform.
Yeah, and there's a draw to, oh, well, we've looked and we've figured out for ourselves the things that people can do here. We don't need to talk with real people. We've refined this job set. We know that is a hypothesis. That is what the business thinks and has executed on to instantiate. Hopefully it was informed by research, but at this point for us, it's a hypothesis about what people want to do here. And now we need to take that and we need to validate it. To just skip forward and start turning this hypothetical set of jobs that somebody wants to do here into archetypes would be risky. You would be working with a hypothesis that has been unvalidated.
Right. So it's been a bit further on that. Joe mentioned that we have the businesses understanding what they know about their users. But I think we had this on our whiteboard for a couple of years. Believe it or not, it was one corner of being race. And because things, from a business perspective, things that they want their customers to want are not jobs for them. There's a hypothesis that Joe mentioned. So how
Yeah, and there's many good ways to do this, but if we're already working in Airtable, you can switch to the Kanban view and start dragging things around, putting sames with sames, and start to see how this shapes up. But sometimes I find a more helpful way is to get out of Airtable or whatever spreadsheet and dump all the jobs into Miro or something like that and start working in more dimensions to start to find little clusters. And then you can start to name those clusters, because this is a bottom-up, art-driven as much as science-driven effort to figure out what are the things that go together. Because you don't just want to say, oh, this says purchase and this says purchase. You don't just want to lump your verbs together. You don't just want to lump your nouns together. You want to figure out what is the intent that's behind this. Why is somebody doing that? Why are they doing that? Why are they doing that? And you start to come up with these clusters, and you can name these clusters as you go. Why did I group these three things together? Well, these are all about finding information. Why did I group several clusters together into a bigger cluster? Well, that's because we're trying to do work, and that's how you get to kind of these organic groupings of the things that go together.
Yeah, the commercial has to be distinct enough. That's how you know what you're trying to done is when there's distinct groupings that come from an organization, and there's a smaller set of them. It becomes sort of like these flashcards of like, all right, we're structuring information this way, we're building pages this way. If I'm coming at it from get help, which would be an archetype, is there something here to capture me and help me find my job description? Or if I come in with curiosity to discover the emergency or whatever the archetype is, it's really an opportunity for us to check. And the more different these archetypes are from each other, the more they represent the group we're talking about.
And there are many, many ways to articulate the difference from one job to the next. This is one of my more fun ways. We made a baseball card. There were 6 of these, and this was just one of them. And in getting to this group, we were able to say, okay, what makes this group of jobs different from that group of jobs? Are there some attributes that all of these things kind of have? And for this example, if you look on the right side there are these kind of ramps that are gradients that denote the level of frequency with which these jobs, someone accesses these jobs, the level of urgency, the level of proficiency required to work in this space. And these 3 gradients are different across all 6 archetypes, and helps when you have a new job. When the business says, oh, we forgot something, or we've launched a new product, where does fulfilling this job fit? You can look here and you can say, okay, well, what's the level of urgency? It's high? Oh, it might be in this one. It might be in another one too that has high urgency, but it has low proficiency. Okay, so it's not in this one. It must be in that other one. And so this helps us then say, okay, can we rationalize the difference of one archetype to the next?
All right, so we've got our archetypes defined. They represent the jobs that we've identified into these groups. And now it's time to use these to inform structure, inform content for the site, and inform the page layout. And so once we have that, we go into hypothesis, we go and test it with end users. We build interactive prototypes that are very simple, and we put them in front of our interactive prototype and bring it off a series of jobs. The ones that tell you archetypes, and ask them, pick ones that are relevant to you, and see if this prototype gets you to what you need. We can watch people walk through it and then see if they get lost or see if they have other things that sort of come up that are important. And this starts to validate that the structure that has been built is ready to capture people and give them what they need from the jobs they are expecting to get done and hire from this digital place.
Another way that having these archetypes can be used is at a site-wide structural level. So in this instance, all of these little ovals are pages on a website and how they are arranged. But then the colors correspond with the primary archetype is the fill color, and then the secondary archetype that that page is designed to serve is the border color. And so you can see that there are sections, there are verticals of this. This appears to be a very siloed environment, but they're coherent. It's a column of red and a column of yellow. You don't have to make the whole website the same. It doesn't have to serve every archetype the same way. You can take that yellow column and make it work really good for the changes archetype, and take into account how often they come here. How urgent are they? Are they panicked? You can make it different than a different spot where people might be chill. And so this can inform high-level structural decisions that then cascade down to page level. Yeah, another way that we've found incorporating archetypes really beneficial at the structural level. This is the 4 circles that make up this Venn diagram is the highest level structural model for a digital place. And based on what needs to happen in each of those places, we could calculate the amount of which each of these different archetypes would show up in each of these places. And just like how the last structural sitemappy kind of oval, colored oval model, I don't know what to call it, the Skittles model, maybe, showed the, sorry, you can go back to the big one, there you go, showed how one place could be different than the other. Just glancing at this, you can see we shouldn't treat the learning library the same way that we treat the communication place. People are coming there with entirely different intent, and so their behavior can also be different. And if we know that right off the bat, right at this beginning structural moment, we can take that context in and approach the page level design a lot differently, really tune to the needs of the particular people who are coming to this spot. So this is another perspective on that similar structural model. You can see it kind of tiny as a swim lane in there. This was a segment of a journey map, because this was a tool that folks needed to use in a kind of procedural process sort of way. There were steps involved, and people would move from one part of the app to the next, doing particular tasks, adopting different postures as they go along. And we could start to say, okay, what are the detailed processes that the business has to maintain? Where within this digital place at a highest level are people going to be doing this? Are we talking about moves from one section to the other, or things happening within here? What are the jobs, the granular level jobs that are going to be happening that the processes are talking about? And then how do those jobs roll up into archetypes? In addition to structure of pages, it can be used for defining content strategy. So in this instance, there were these 5 archetypes. They could see in their current system, which is the bottom, how different types of content were being surfaced on these kinds of pages today. So there are offers in orange, facts in green, and context in blue. And there's importance. The higher things up are the importance, the bigger the circle, the more of that type of content. And based on the understanding that was developed around these different kinds of posture, kind of the people that would come with these different postures, a strategy was able to be formed around the kinds of content that would best serve them. And so you could start to see the delta of, when a been there, done that archetype steps in, and someone's just trying to do the same thing that they've always done. Right now, we give them a lot of context and not a lot of facts. They don't need the context. They need the facts. They're there for the thing that they forgot. And so we're gonna switch that. Oh, yeah, I got that. I appreciate that, Mr. Cooney. Got that backwards. Thank you. And then at the page level, I think you probably start to see the theme. You can start to talk about the kinds of things that need to happen at different parts of a system, from super high level all the way down to a particular page. How are we crafting this page, and what are the different parts of the page? What are the jobs that it's helping someone do? And you can do this before you start to really get into interaction design. You can start to see, you can almost step back and just look at the colors and see what the colors tell you. Are you seeing a color that you're not expecting? I'm not asking you. You shouldn't. But for folks who are looking at a whole bunch of these, gosh, there shouldn't be green there. There's no green anywhere else. That part needs to be removed. Or that part needs to be made a lot bigger because it's really important. It allows you to make structural decisions about what's going on at the page level as well. So at the end of the month, we're going to be teaching a half-day workshop on this same content, getting into more depth around what it's like to actually do an audit and craft a job and refine a job and group jobs and make archetypes. At the IA conference in New Orleans, it will be on March 29th, a Wednesday afternoon, but the conference goes through April 1st. And so if you are interested in learning more, that's the best place to do it right now. You can go and scan this code to go register and use this coupon code for $50 off. Alternatively, if you can't make it there, the IA conference is just the first place where we'll be offering this workshop, but we plan to be offering it locally as well. And the best place to learn about when we start registration for that is to scan this QR code to sign up for Tug Notes, the Tug newsletter, where we'll announce any upcoming workshops. And lastly, if you want this poster that we talked through in all of its PDF glory, sign up for Tug Notes. We will send it out to folks who sign up today, and you can have this Archetypes poster for reference to begin your archetype making journey.
Are there any questions?
Any questions that people want to publicly ask? Grant, get out of the way.
I got a question. How do we get a hold of you guys?
Oh, Joe at understandinggroup.com, Grant at understandinggroup.com.